A heartfelt appreciation to the Worm 99 for granting permission to narrate this story. Be sure to find their details in the description below. Without further ado, let's delve into the tale. Earth approximately 20,000 BC. A sun rose in a blistering cold valley, piercing the thick fog, laying over every strand of grass, sticking to every leaf. Spiderwebs shone and swayed in the calm mountain wind, dewdrops making them look like huge beads. Chirping of birds filled the air, gentle and melodic in their natural harmony. Wild boars were rummaging through the thick mud, feeding on insects and worms they dug up, unaware of them being observed. Couple of dozen feet from them, a young human hunter lurked. He stood still in tall grass, his eyes focused, spear tightly gripped in his palm. A boy coming of age, a paint of adulthood trial painted over his forehead. However, boars were not his prey, no. He waited for the real predator to show up. The hunter shifted his gaze. The predator was here. Boy waited in anticipation as he catched barely a glimpse of a saber-toothed tiger. That was his prey. A first step on a trail to become a man. He spent 15 days already in the wilderness, 15 days ahead of him, one lunar circle far from home, as tradition demanded. Kal-El name of his was. The trials of adulthood he faced, to hunt down a saber-tooth, to eat nothing but fruits of Mother Earth, to climb a wolf mountain and talk to the gods. Those trials of his clan were a journey of every man. Boars noticed a disturbance in the air, scent of cat reached them. Kal-El watched as the tiger sprung from the grass and like a mighty falcon flew through the air, landing on one of them. The tiger slashed with its claws and bite with its fangs. A boar died in its embrace. Kal-El saw his chance. Spear in hand, he moved through the grass, silently and gently, like a breeze of a wind. Great tiger was feeding itself on the meat of the boar, distracted from the hunter closing behind it. Kal-El was almost within reach. He raised his spear. His heart pounded. He would not get a second chance to kill a tiger, to not eat nothing but fruits of Mother Earth, to climb a wolf mountain and talk to the gods. That was the creed of his clan, of his family. That was his duty, to pass the trail and become a man, to prove he is not a boy anymore. The prey was in his sight. He took deep breaths, steadying his aim, preparing to make a throw and deliver a fatal blow. But then the wind changed, and the scent of the boy reached the tiger. It snapped its head and looked directly at Kal-El. Big yellow eyes, the eyes of the tiger, the gaze of the death itself. Saber-tooth roared at Kal-El, who was frozen in place by fear. The tiger wasted no time and charged at Kal-El. Young hunter dashed aside, pointing its spear, and the tiger hissed and missed. Now it was a fight to the end, a nature versus a man. Kal-El jabbed his spear, but the saber-tooth dodged and lunged at him. The hunter was pinned down by the weight of the beast, barely bouncing off its teeth by his spear. He yelped as its claw tore into his flesh, but he was adamant, steeled with rage. Staring into its maw, Kal-El let out a defiant roar, turning the tiger over and jumping on its back. He grabbed around its neck, trying to strangle it between his arms. Tiger hissed and slashed, almost throwing off the man, but he held on. Kal-El reached into his pocket, grabbing a knife carved from a bone. With one fell swoop, he tore it into the beast's flesh. The tiger sprung with pain, throwing Kal-El of its back. With his knife stuck in its neck, Kal-El barrel rolled, dashing for his spear, and as the tiger pounced at him, he raised it to meet the foe, piercing the beast. Its lifeless body crashed into him as the last breath left its lung. It was over. Kal-El killed the tiger. Young hunter crawled from underneath, bloodied but proud. Kal-El felt pain and soreness all over his body and was bleeding from tiger's slashes. Without a word, without a cry, he bandaged his wounds. Kal-El then filled a water bag with the tiger's blood, to be used later for the ritual. Lastly, he skinned its corpse and knocked its majestic saber-tooths, to be used on his necklace once he would be back with his clan. Then Kal-El sat down, resting, resisting the urge to cook the tiger's meat. He looked at the sky and at the mountain ahead of him. He missed his home, his father, his mother, and his clan. But to be part of his clan meant to undergo those trials, and beside, the spirit of the great sky falcon would always watch over him. As the old shaman told him, "We are the children of Sky Falcon. Everywhere you go, he watches over you, for we are his family, and for he guides the spirits of our ancestors through the sky. He could not wait to be back home, to show he is an adult now, that he talked to the gods, killed a tiger, and was now blessed by the falcon spirit. Kal-El stood up. He still had a task to complete, and he must do it, while he still had tiger blood fresh and warm. Despite his injuries, he pushed on towards the Wolf Mountain. It was a colossal peak, the highest one in the whole land, a point that connected gods and man. Only there, one could talk to the falcon spirit and watch the rainbow lights he creates. Weather was still pleasantly calm yet cold, the mountain ahead covered in snow. The climb got difficult, each step a torture, his injuries taking the toll. Kal-El gritted his teeth, he would not fail now. Step by step, one heartbeat after another, one sip of cold air at the time, he forged on, adamant and persistent. He would not turn from his path, only death or victory were his options. Wind picked up the speed as he rose on the mountain, shadows got longer, the night creeped in. Kal-El felt cold, his finger getting numb, but he still lived and continued to the peak.
He felt his lungs itching for air even when he took full breath. It was not enough to cleanse the pain.
But that was the purpose. Only on the brink of death, on a place between worlds, could one reach the gods. The lights, oh the lights, and sky suddenly lit up, full of green and purple waves, high as the stars and moon. They called to him, he was so close. And when last of his strength abandoned his body, when his hope was almost lost, he reached the peak. Kal-El stood at the top of the Wolf Mountain and now could see the world, as the great falcon spirit did. It was time for the ritual. Hungry, freezing, tired, he removed his clothes to not disgrace this sacred place. Barefoot, snow crunching underneath his feet, he took a wooden bowl, carved with ritualistic runes of the falcon spirit. He spilled the tiger's blood into it and started singing. Omakai lamatu silarati kamali, he chanted with closed eyes, repeating his prayer to the great falcon spirit again and again. The cold wind was unrelenting, tearing its icy claws into him, sapping the heat from his body, his heart beating dangerously slow. Kal-El felt lightheaded, his spirit ascending as his mortal coil became meaningless to him. When the chant was finished, he drank the tiger's blood, absorbing its soul, and laid with his back on the snow. He watched the night sky, great colorful lights shining down along with stars and a full moon. Kal-El waited for the sign from gods, for them to speak to him, trying to understand the spirits on the brink of death. Would his prayers be answered? Would falcon spirit grant him its blessing? Was he worthy, or shall he die, as the gods demanded? The pain was gone, the weight of living was falling off his shoulder, as he saw something incredible. High in the sky, among the stars, one suddenly brightened up until it shone like a second sun. He felt its warmth, and even a wave of pressure washed over him, with a distant thunder. Kal-El sat up. Was this what he was waiting for? It must, he thought. His prayers must have been answered. He now has a falcon spirit blessing. He teared up, he was worthy, and watched the light show. And then the star fell. Kal-El could not believe it. The gods descended to earth, perhaps the great falcon spirit itself. He watched as the star got closer, before it became easily visible, engulfed in a fire, like a great phoenix. It got closer and closer before flying right over his head. For a moment, he could see it. It looked like an egg engulfed in fire, thundering down the sky. It had metallic shine and some symbols on it. But most important of all, there was a window in it. And for the briefest of moments, the young hunter saw the face inside. It must have been the face of the god, shimmering like if it was made out of scales or tiny feathers, colorful as a butterfly's wings. The god saw him, and Kal-El could see great worry in its eyes before the sky egg passed him. Little did the hunter know that it was not a god, but a being from a different planet. And with that, he watched the escape pod crash land down in the valley. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and wants to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that comments heart, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.